Sknal Najisham eth. Tis sap Erushufo Sankrad heth ours. Hello everyone, my name is Brian. I am the Ranting Usher, and some of you may be wondering how I just did that. Well, I'm going to show you how in this tutorial. Let me talk you backwards to your seat. I'm going to go over a series of phrases. Some will be statements and others will be questions. They'll be simple at first, and then they'll get progressively more difficult. We'll start with a short phrase. Let's rock. Before we can conceptualize how the phrase will sound, or even how it would look when we say it backwards, we must first focus on how each word is pronounced as they appear forward. We do this in order to mentally prepare ourselves to make the transition between saying the phrase forward and saying it backwards. With that being said, if we're going to say let's rock in reverse, you begin at the last letter of the last word, which is a K, so that it comes out Carstel. Once again, you begin at the last letter of the last word. Carstel. Or, if you want to put a little more emphasis into it, it's Carstel. The next phrase, please silence your cell phones, may seem a lot harder, not only because it's longer, but because it contains a greater number of syllables. The good news is that the more you mentally prepare yourself to say a phrase backwards by first focusing on it as it appears forward, the easier the transition will be. So you don't have to worry quite so much about the sounds and inflections within the words, because your mind will naturally fill in those gaps. So if you start at the end of please silence your cell phones and you work your way backwards, the phrase should come out Senoles Roy Esnalis Esel. Once again, that's Senoles Roy Esnalis Esel. So, unlike in a statement where the tone remains consistent throughout, when you ask a question like, would you like some coffee? While you are preparing yourself to make that transition between saying it forward and then saying it backward, also notice that a question has a rising arc from beginning to end. Would you like some coffee? Without even thinking about it, you are placing a particular emphasis on the first and last word. The would at the beginning of the question begins on a low note and then rises to a high note at the very end. Coffee? So if you're going to say the question backwards, remember you are not just reversing the sounds and the syllables, but the arc as well. Rather than going from a low note to a high note, you are actually going from a high note to a low note. So, starting from the last word, the question should come out Ifak Imas Ikal Yoidlau. Once again, starting from the last word, the question should come out Ifak Imas Ikal Yoidlau. When you come across a rarity, such as a question within a question, like, do you want me to lock the door or would you rather I left it open? All the skills and elements we've talked about until now still apply. The trick here is you have to shift the arc of both sentences while placing a particular emphasis on just the right words and do it more than once. Just like with the last question, this one begins on a low note it goes to a high note, but then it instantly changes from high to low and goes back to high again. Do you want me to lock the door, or would you rather I left it open? The do starts off on a low note, onto a high note with door, back down to a low note with or, and then open gets to high note again. So if you were to say the question in reverse, you would go from high note, low note, high note, back down to a low note again. When asked in reverse, the question should come out, Ne potitefel, I rathar, Joi dlaudro, Rod eth kalut and now joi od. Once again, if you ask the question in reverse, it should come out, Ne potitefel, I rathar, Joi dlaudro, Rod eth kalut and now joi od. Now I would like to go over what is undoubtedly the most important part of this entire tutorial, which is, why speak in reverse? How is it helpful? I have found in my personal experience that learning to speak backwards has actually helped me to overcome a mild stutter. You would think that it would be the other way around, that speaking backwards would be a lot harder, and in a way it is. But it forced me to slow down and think more carefully about what I was saying and how I was saying it. I guess you could say I created my own special method of speech therapy. Think of it as reverse psychology. I also had a great teacher. That concludes my tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. I am the Ranting Usher, and if you enjoyed this, please leave a like. It would help both the video and the channel out a great deal, and I would really appreciate it. You're also welcome to share or subscribe if you haven't already, and always remember, Corstel!